Hello, Internet, and welcome to Living Up in Lion City, a podcast about life in Singapore, where friends and I talk about what goes on in this little red dot we call home. My name is Rindo, and this episode we're going to talk about personal mobility devices, or PMDs as they're called, and the recent ban around their use on shared footpaths. Folks, you'll need a bit of background for this episode. On the 4th of November 2019, the Land Transport Authority of Singapore announced a ban on the use of PMDs on shared pedestrian paths. For those who are new to or unfamiliar with Singapore, most footpaths along the road are shared footpaths to be used by pedestrians, cyclists, and PMDs. Over the years, PMDs have had a surge in popularity, and this has resulted in a manifold increase in accidents involving pedestrians and PMD riders. After years of trying to regulate the use of PMDs on roads and footpaths, the LTA finally announced a ban on PMDs running on shared footpaths, especially in light of recent accidents that caused deaths. We recorded this episode a few days after the ban, when we were still just wrapping our heads around the ban and its implications. Due to personal and work-related commitments, I couldn't get around to putting this episode out there sooner. The ban has since become the center of massive outrage in Singapore. Lots of news, lots of discussions, lots of new developments, and more importantly, lots of engagement between the people and the authorities as both parties try to understand how to deal with the ban and the seemingly shoddy execution of it. It has been 3 weeks since then, and now our conversation does seem woefully outdated. But even so, I had a great time chatting with 3 good friends about it. One of them is Bang, who has been on episodes 9 and 17 of this podcast, and also with Hani and Jonathan, who are food delivery riders, and it was awesome to hear their side of the story, and also learn surprising facts about how PMD riders came to be associated with tacky electronic music. Enjoy the episode, folks.
Okay, just a little bit of a correction. I am not a PMD rider. I use a bicycle, but I am surrounded with a community of PMD riders who are my delivery friends' counterparts. So, yeah.
And yes, here is Jonathan, the only PMD rider right now.
You're going to be the guy that we all gang up on.
I do grab food. Yeah, because like that's the only one that gives me like own time and own target to actually work. Yeah, so yep.
The PMD ban, what are your thoughts about it?
I guess it's something like, it's so sudden. And like reading the news recently, the transport minister did say like, oh, we are not looking at banning it right now. And then a month later, he said like, okay, PMD will get banned if behavior doesn't like improve. And then another month later, suddenly it gets banned. So like, it's like empty promises like, okay, we are going to find a solution. And banning is not the solution that we will look for. And then suddenly it banned. And like, okay lah, like a lot of people will say like, oh, they are not banning while you're bringing them to PCN. But then like, if you realize like, okay, let's not talk about food delivery riders only. Let's talk about, people who are going to work or parents fetching their kids. Do you think like the park connector is connected to the school or connected to the MRT? No. So like a lot of them are telling us like, actually we are not banning it because we are still further improving the road. But it doesn't make sense at all because then it leads to food delivery riders also where how do we continue with our livelihood? And especially it's a 1 day notice thing. And then they say like, okay, we will help like, people who cannot continue as delivery rider, as cyclists to find their job. Like, it's like a solution, but not a solution at the same time because like, yeah, finding a job, but like how long does it take someone to find a job? It's not like, today I lose my job, I can find a job tomorrow. And honestly speaking, those people who do delivery, I would say like, not everyone there is like, have no money, but there are people who are living paycheck by paycheck. And there's some of them like my mom who can't cycle. So she didn't want to work because like her leg has no strength. And then I recently got her a scooter just to, try out delivery. And it really boosts her self-esteem because suddenly like, oh, yeah, I can finally work something that, doesn't require me to, put in. Like it does have effort. She does feel tired, but she say it helps that she can take a break anytime. And like with bicycles, I like, yeah. Yesterday, like suddenly the ban came about. She was like, can I ride? I scared like people, like police car. I said the police won't come. I think you still can because it's still New Year. The only thing that you recognize is warning. But the thing is, like, a lot of us riders are not worried about the police. We are more worried of the public. As you can see, there's a spate of incident rate since the ban. Someone kicked, okay, it's not PMD rider yesterday, but somebody kicked a cyclist off the road. Not the road, like PCN. And say, it's banned already. So the thing is, like, by pushing this and then you see this kind of violence, it's like causing a divide in Singapore. Although there are also different livelihoods, and this does affect people's view. Like you see, like that we are civilly discussing this, but there are people who can't discuss things civilly and they take things into their own hand.
We're civilly discussing this for now.
I guess we're going to fight after that.
Yeah. So Hani, like what are your thoughts about this?
Right. Okay. So I share the same sentiment as Jonathan. Yeah. Okay. So on my end, okay, if I were to look at it like, okay, wow, okay, for myself, right, like as a cyclist who refused to go on PMD because I'm a little bit of a speed junkie, so I don't want to go on a PMD because I'm scared for my own self and for the lives of others. But the thing is that...
Oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
She's the reason why the ban is in place.
You know? Yeah, so the thing is that, like, that's my own personal reason. But, like, if I were to look at it in a very opportunistic way, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, PMD is banned now. Cyclists can get more order. In fact, that's the kind of sentiment that a lot of people who approach cyclists, today itself, I got a few like vendors or like random people, even a security guard who came to me and just like, oh, bicycle, good, right? You can get more orders now. PMDs are no longer around. But I'm like, while that is a very opportunistic kind of a view, I don't actually necessarily view it that way. Honestly, seriously speaking, I know that I can do more orders if I go on a PMD. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, I do not do that because I kind of see this coming as well.
That you saw this coming. Like, was this the writing on the wall for some time already?
Exactly. Because the thing is that, like, to me, like, the kind of, like, from what I see, I think the government tend to make a knee-jerk reaction to a lot of things.
Keep reading the next 40 numbers.
I think it's 2335.
Okay, I'm fine.
So let's talk about, okay, let's just compare this to the shisha ban at some point. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Right. Okay. Now, anyone remember the shisha ban?
Oh yeah, we do.
All right, sir. Now, if you recall the shisha ban, I believe they gave vendors, they gave businesses 1 year. Okay, a year.
Yep.
A year and not 2 months. A year. Because you see, it makes sense because, they need to, kind of like sell off maybe their stocks or maybe at least, because I'm sure they have made some projections, right? Business projections as to how they're going to arrange their stocks and all that stuff. And we're not just talking about riders. We are also talking about businesses who already stock in their PMDs and stuff like that. And then
2272.
Exactly, right? And let me tell you, it's just a knee-jerk reaction after knee-jerk reaction. Can you imagine, like, there are some people who said that, oh, I paid $20 not too long ago to register my PMD, okay? And then a few months later, it got banned. Like, is this fair? So the government make money from every PMD rider's $20 to register, and then you ban it. Isn't that kind of like, a spit on my face kind of thing?
So, honey, like, I want to go back to that in a bit about a certain thing. But before we get to that, I want to ask, Shanbang, about what your thoughts are.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so I kind of, like, I'm amazed first and foremost by how polarized this is. It's like,
Right?
yeah, right. Like it's like we become like the Mad Max wasteland. You know? like we're out for blood with each other. I will look over my back.
So what is happening is, they ban PMD, right? Okay, let's sabo everyone else. Let's take photo of a motorcycles delivery rider parking outside shopping center. Take photo of pedestrian jaywalking or like cyclists, riding on all this. Yeah, so there's this kind of social thing that
Outrage.
not many people see. They only know about, ban because somebody banged someone. But like, honestly speaking, like, I believe education is key.
Yes.
It's not
Yeah, I
about
agree.
punishing, because like, there's so many things. Like, long time ago, if you look at like maybe 20 years ago on the escalator, do you see everybody keeping left? But until they started all this campaign of like, everybody let's keep left.
Yeah.
Now you see like nobody there to,
Yeah, exactly.
it's nobody there to keep right. And if somebody keep right, somebody like, hey, keep left, later kena. It's like, you just need to make it a social norm, not make it like it's an second evil.
It becomes a prejudice.
Yeah.
It becomes like like a discrimination towards PMD riders. It makes PMD rider look like as if they're criminals.
Oh, it does.
However, it's not about banning the PMD per se. And we have to let me remind everyone, you can still ride it on the PCN. Hello, people. It's not like as if PMD is banned for life. Banish it and burn it to death. No, you can use it, but the whole point is that to keep people safe. But for some reason, the sentiment right now is that like a lot of PMD riders get a lot of stares, get a lot of like some random stranger told off a PMD rider, you can't use this anymore, it's bad. Like, it's not bad per se. I just can't use it.
It's amazing how polarized it is. Like everyone's either for or against. There's no middle ground. Like everyone's out for blood, We're just one step away from civil war.
So, yeah, it's like fucking anarchy right now. So Shambang, I know that you have some strong feelings about this. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so my first post about that was like, hooray. So I think it's pretty clear my sentiments about this issue.
So, like, why do you say hooray? Like, what's your rationale behind, supporting the ban?
Okay, so first and foremost, I also cycle.
Okay.
And to be fair, I hate everyone who's an asshole. So like, I cycle, but as a cyclist and as a pedestrian when I'm walking, like, cyclists are assholes as well. And so are pedestrians. I hate everyone who's an asshole equally.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much like 90% of the population. So, come on, dude.
Yeah, so I'm pretty fucked, to be honest. But like, I live near a park connector in Tampines, and one issue is that a lot of people who are on e-scooters, they have very little regard for people using the pedestrian pathway, and they have this feeling of like, I own the road, and then like, hong hong, fuck off. When they are passing by, they give this, maybe not an impression, but you get this feeling from them that whenever they ring their bell or their horn, you can feel that atmosphere of like,
That's why I
make
stopped
way.
horning. Like, I was so like, nowadays, like before the ban, I was like, okay, I'm no longer going to horn. I'm going to say excuse me.
Yeah.
I do that a lot, unless like some idiots is using their phone.
Yeah.
And then, like,
Yeah.
bugging,
Correct.
that's why I use my horn.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have to use my horn because I feel the dirty look.
Threatened, right?
Because,
There's this
like, I
feeling.
know there are PMD riders who abuse it, and I get very annoyed also.
Yeah.
It's crowded. Use your fucking brain.
Yeah.
Don't keep spamming the horn. Just use excuse me and maybe slow down.
Yeah.
They're not slowing down. Honestly speaking, these are the idiots that are causing a lot of problems.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, although I think that I feel that I agree with the ban, because I've experienced numerous times where people on e-scooters are assholes, and like, they speed, they have very high beam lights, and they just blind you from 50 kilometers away.
Shambang, I have to say that I agree with you in the sense that when I read the news about the ban, I was actually happy about it.
Your initial reaction, right?
Yeah, because I think like safety was something that was on the top of my head.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So it goes back to what you said about how with the shisha ban, for example, there was a year's, a period of a year for people to figure it out and all that. And whereas for the PMD ban, it's only 2 months. But I think what we got to figure out, what we got to understand is that there was a human cost, which is why I think the LTA decided that, you know what, we're going to stamp this. And the reason why I say this is because there was that recent case of that poor old lady who died, because of this, an accident in relation to PMDs. And from what I was reading, the LTA's announcement 2 days ago said that despite a number of actions over the last 3 years with relation to PMDs, incidents of PMD-related accidents have increased manifold. And regardless of education, regardless of laws, regardless of fining, it still hasn't changed anything. So the ban seemed like the only rational move, especially with regards to the recent safety incidents. And
I feel like it's
the deaths.
time bomb, like the water's boiling over, and then it's gonna.
What I find surprising is that, like, for me, I think the human cost has to be considered above all else.
Yeah. Let me add something. Okay, I think, right? I mean, I'm a teacher, right? I notice, especially in the Heartlanders area, okay, a lot of teenagers, especially them, because you see, the thing is that if they would, it's a little bit different from a motorcycle or something like that, because you need a license for that. You need to be of a certain age to ride that. Yada, yada, yada. There's a lot more regulation. It's a lot more control, right? However, I think even with the enforcers around and all that stuff, I think at some point there was just way too many enforcers in so many areas. At least what I know from the Telegram chat within the delivery guys, I think even with all of those enforcers around, it's too much cost to maintain, to employ so many enforcers at any point of time to, monitor all of these like delinquents, for instance. Okay.
So by the delinquents, you mean like the people who go like
there, we got one just went by.
Like, I swear to God, sometimes when I'm walking down the street, like the minute I hear I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly, right? I know.
I jump to the side. Just come here
for you.
Something. So I guess, right, there's one thing is e-scooter shops are providing the speaker for free when you buy an e-scooter. There's a lot of time.
Really?
Yeah, so sometimes you see like these kind of people, like delivery riders having speakers because of that reason.
When you say like speakers are provided for free, are the speakers
JBL
installed
speakers?
on the
Oh yeah, it's JBL speakers sometimes. Yeah, so that's why it's so loud. They do sell it. Yeah, yes, it's true. Yeah, they give it for free. Yeah. So like, there's one thing is I realize is like you buy an e-scooter, there's nothing that goes through to you like what you need to look out for, and I believe a lot of the accident is because of this very reason. Like brakes, they don't know they have to change their brake pads.
They don't know brakes exist.
Yeah, they do know about brakes. So like your scooter, like, especially if those fast ones, those that have accident, I've seen the pictures. You for sure know that those are the modified one. And the modified one, the brake pad, you have to change it almost every week. Because it does cause like the brakes. Because if you realize like recent news, a lot of them say they couldn't brake in time. And honestly speaking, it's not they couldn't brake in time. Their brakes are not working at all.
Oh.
Yeah. Another reason is because a lot of the accident, if you realize, is a lot to do with the younger one. And
Exactly.
Yeah,
which is what I was talking about, right? So the thing is that like, okay, so I have actually tried to get a motorcycle license.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of knowledge involved, like education, right? So the thing is that when it comes to PMD, a lot of them are not, equipped with the right knowledge, and it's in a way, there's not a lot of control. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
They have no money to maintain the scooter, so a lot of the money they save to buy it, and then after that they're like, okay, let's just do it.
Basically,
the light sometimes comes in free. Also.
Oh wow!
Wow! A lot of things comes in free.
Yeah, but
See, this brings so much things into perspective,
Yeah, for someone who doesn't ride a PMD.
Yeah, the disco light comes in free.
But on the bicycle, sorry.
Disco lights, but on a bicycle. We just saw one passing by. anyway, okay, my point is that like I want to make is that like there's it's a lot easier, okay, to regulate things like motorcycle riders, but it's very difficult to regulate PMD riders at this point because when PMD first came out, I think the government did not actually thought that it will escalate it to this point. So it was rather like free and easy. Okay.
Cheaper and cheaper actually.
Yeah, see, and then there's a supply and demand issue, and then then things got out of hand, right? So I hope what's going to happen is that like what you say, that because there's a human cost, they have to ban it right away. But I hope what will happen is that because supposedly delivery riders does not even make up up to 10,000 people out of the population of PMD riders, let's just say. But I hope that if we want to talk about people's livelihood that depends on PMD riders, I hope that they are going to come up with something to address this issue specifically for delivery riders. That's just my hope.
Okay, so
all right, yeah.
So, honey, like I wanna say this. So I was doing a bit of reading on these issues, and it goes back quite a bit. So today on one of the forums on Reddit, there was someone who posted the history, the timeline of all PMD related, laws and stuff.
Ooh, what a geek.
So in 2016, there was the safe riding program that LTA has initiated, because in 2016, PMDs were getting popular as a mode of transport. I think at the time it was not e-scooters, it was one of those, pedaling bicycles or something, right?
Kick scooter.
Bicycles.
Yeah.
Electric. PAB, powered assisted bicycle.
Right.
Yeah.
So that started. And then afterwards, there were a bunch of incidents. So as it turns out, in 2016, there was about 40 plus PMD related accidents that happened. And because of that, the LTA started, putting out directives and, education programs and Facebook ads also about this stuff, right? And then in 2017, things got worse. So from 40 plus, it came to about 140 something. So there was a manifold increase in PMD related incidents. So that's when the LTA started, according to the timeline, of course, that's when they started, fining errant riders, for all this shit. And so this went on for quite a while. So my question to you, honey, is that it's not like the LTA did a flash ban in an instant. I feel like, at least based on what I was reading, this was an evolving thing over many years, right? So what are your thoughts on that? And
Yeah, can I just chime in? I'm gonna take you guys on a bit of a history lesson here. Way back before PMDs were a thing, all these assholes were already assholes to begin with, because these teens, they couldn't afford a motorcycle because they are not even of legal age. So they have this Fox low rider kind of. They look sort of like your Harley Davidson, but instead it's a bicycle. So it's like a budget Harley Davidson.
They call it POPO. They call it POPO, PIYO, PIYO.
POPO.
Okay, I never heard of
it's a thing.
Wait, was that a thing? So it's like you have a Harley Davidson like chopper level, but then you're pedaling.
Yeah. So it looks like a chopper, and then aside from that, these young punks were already on bicycles like fixies, and then they already have those speakers. So merely like e-scooters, they just adopted it and adapted it to become the next level of assholes, if I may. Yeah.
So before PMDs became super popular, was that the case? Like in the 2000s and maybe like the 90s even, was it always the case where it's all some guy who's like, I'm gonna fuck up every single pedestrian that I see?
I think it's not only. I don't think it's only bicycles. There are secondary school kids with the JBL speaker in the bus in the MRT blasting it already. So it's nothing new, but it's always the reckless youth, lah. I mean, I was one of them. I used to be. So I understand why, because it was a lot to do with education. So from then on, we realized that things needs to we need to be considerate. Today, I saw the news. There's this guy that got jailed for 1 week because he banged into a kid and the kid got deaf in 1 year. And then I read the report. I felt like it wasn't the PMD's guy's fault, but because he was on the PMD, the judge feel like he didn't take note of his surrounding. And when you read the whole thing, you'll be like Like why? And like the comments, I went to read the comments. I'm like, okay, everyone is
Big mistake, but okay.
Everyone is just blaming it and say, see, that's why it needs to be banned. But if you read the report correctly, and I myself have like got into incidents like that, it's just near misses because like I am quite careful lah, and I guess like that guy, his brake is also got some issue because like from what I read, it looks like he couldn't brake in time, and like he banged the kid. So what happened is like, okay, it's near my house and it's a park connector that I use a lot. So what is happening is like this grandma, she cycled a kid. The kid was a pillion rider. So the kid got off and just dashed across the cycling lane. And the PMD rider didn't see him and banged into the kid. So like I guess like because of that very reason, like PMD rider is at fault because like yeah, he's speeding, but like they didn't have any speed in mind. So I guess like yeah.
So I have a hard time empathizing with you, Jonathan, on this because you know, as a PMD rider, you are on a device that has the capability to go faster.
Speed issue, right?
And because of which you can go faster than the average person. And, you know, by that very virtue, you have to be doubly aware of, you know, your surroundings, right?
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it, even if I was pro PMD, I think that news would make me want to reconsider, you know, and once again, it goes back to the human cost. I'm like, whatever happens, I mean, even if I'm super in support of something, the minute somebody, you know, is hurt fatally because of something, I think if I were a person in a position of power, like I owe it to myself and the society that I serve to put a stop to it until we figure things out, you know? So it's like, if I were a minister, for example, I'd be like, oh shit, this happened. Fuck. Okay, let's put a stop to it right now and then let's figure it out. I still maintain that, you know, safety above all else.
Well,
you know?
well, of course I agree with that. However, I think that it could have been communicate better, and I think it's the thing is that it's at the end of the day, it's also about how the other people, as in because of the ban, like how people are treating each other. So I think I hope that during this interim period that there will be more people who can, you know, like just be in each other's shoes, you see, and focus on the objectivity that it's not about banning PMD per se, but it's that PMDs can ride only on this area, you know, and then pedestrians should be on this area, cyclists this, PAB this, motorcycle this, cars this, blah, 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 and all that stuff.
So, Shanbang, what are your thoughts on this? Is honey speaking sense or shit?
It's gonna be a hard choice because I don't want to be lynched. So I say speaking sense.
Jonathan, like there was one point that you mentioned that I'm curious about. You know, there's a lot of talk about like people, you know, buying right before the ban and all that. Do you think the ban would have been accepted better if there was more effective communication?
Yeah, I believe so because a lot of them, like I would say, even like, you know, cyclists or even like people in the street, they are like, what the hell? Like you suddenly ban without any consideration for the stakeholders. And like honestly speaking, I'm talking about in my sense right now because like I'm an artist also, and I deal with like not really deal. I work with a lot of like governmental agency, like the artistic National Arts Council and all this. When I ask them like, why can't you change this policy? They be like, oh, we need to consider the stakeholders. We need to consider that. But then suddenly, like when it comes to PMD, wow, you just need 1 day. You don't have to consider about stakeholder and ban it. So I'm like, wait, what? It's a very contradictory statement to do this, you know? Like it's just an additional question that I ask myself. Like it's a new argument that I can use, but no, I'm not using that.
Chanbang, what are your thoughts, man? Like I need some support here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm chipping in. I'm coming in as backup. So the thing is that it's not just people who are speeding, being a danger to pedestrians. It's also the fire issue. Like after you hear so many news reports of like exploding batteries and then starting fires.
A friend of mine actually had her cat died, and her half of her house burned down.
What
because
the fuck?
of yes, this fire hazard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like that's the risk for me. Like I don't want to have my house burned down. I mean, the last thing okay, I'm gonna be dead eventually, but the last thing I want to die from is
Not tomorrow.
well, that depends. Well, I mean,
Never dies.
you know, the last thing I want to die from is an exploding bicycle from a PMD. You know, so
Death by
there's
instance.
there's that fire risk.
Okay, so the fire risk, like I said, there's the UL2272. So what is happening is the fire risk is because there's no UL2272 certification. That's why it caught on fire. And the reason why UL2272 safety standard, not reason, it's higher. The safety standard is a lot higher. And that's why the government is like recommending that. And UL2272 consists of not only battery, but even the device and the charger, everything is like certified. So what UL2272 does is like when you're charging the scooter, once it reaches to a capacity, it will cut off the power. What is happening is why there is fire is because of chargers that are used,
Illegal modifications.
not
Also.
only illegal modification, like a fast charger.
Yeah.
So my scooter is like non-compliant, but I
Okay.
use the original charger,
Yeah.
so it does cut off the power.
Yeah. Okay.
But because like delivery riders, a lot of them buy the fast charger. And sometimes they're like, okay, just leave it there and charge. And they overcharge the battery. And that's the reason why fires are caused.
Now, I must say also, okay, from my experience, okay, let's go back to the topic on how are these affecting, delivery riders who have made investments, blah blah blah. Now the thing is that at one point when there were claims made like, PMD riders are not going to be so affected by this whole delivery thing because they only make a small percentage of this population. You know why this is happening? Because the thing is that there are these things what we call fake walkers. Do you know that people can register as walker as delivery riders? They register themselves as a walker. They walk to deliver.
Okay.
Or they register themselves as cyclists to deliver.
So in order to, as a delivery person, you have to specify whether you're a walker or a
Exactly,
cyclist.
you have to.
Okay.
However, there were so many times. I as much as I'm a food delivery rider, I also pro consumer. I also do a lot of delivering orders, meaning to say for myself. There were so many times I noticed people who actually register as cyclists. They are not on a bicycle. They on a PMD.
Yeah.
When they register themselves as walker, they are not walking. They are on a PMD.
But what is the incentive behind doing that?
Well, the incentive is this. Because you register yourself as a walker or a cyclist, your distances are shorter. And you will not have to go long distances, but you can be very fast. You don't have to go long distances. You can be so fast. You can do more orders.
Yeah.
Wow.
The incentive may be lower in some sense where like the additional orders may not get you more money, but if you have more orders, means you got more money.
And because you do shorter orders, your battery will not drain out.
Yep. that happens. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's why when the statistic came out, a lot of people were like, it's not true. That's not the number.
And let me tell you something. The statistics also actually honestly affect cyclists because the cyclists are being grouped together with PMD riders. So, or like, for example, walkers at some point. Okay? So the thing is that like cyclists are being thrown to like, more than 3 kilometers away because they say like, if a walker can go 3 kilometers in a short period of time, why can't you as a cyclist? That's because it's rigged.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I mean, if of course sometimes based on data, only this percentage. I would say this is what we call spoil market, right? And it could be that those people who register as walker, but they are actually on a PMD too. They make up the PMD population because they are fake walkers. They're not fucking walking. They're on a PMD.
Yeah, that's a huge majority of them. And like,
Yeah.
I do ask some walkers like why they do that, and I understand why. There are one or two, like a lot of them, like because walker incentive is not a lot, but I
Yeah.
have met like some where they tell me like they can't go far because their scooter they cannot pay a more expensive scooter. They are actually doing it temporary so they can get more money, and then they
Exactly.
upgrade it. Then they start doing that.
Wow.
Yeah,
then,
so so that is the reason why maybe you see more people on PMD delivering, for example, but on stats, that's not the case.
Does this violate any terms and
Yes,
conditions
it
of?
is.
It is actually, but the thing
okay.
is that I think, it's again, it's very difficult to regulate. You see, it's not easy to regulate all of these things. Okay. So, of course, if they are being caught, because I do know for a fact that Grab has Grab police.
Yeah.
Like
Enforcers.
enforcers. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they do.
yes. They do. They do.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
They do.
They do.
What the fuck?
Yes. So but you know in the chat group, okay guys, the Grab police are around here, get ready, okay? They are yes, exactly. So like
Holy shit.
okay, all right, avoid this area because there's Grab police. So Grab also have this
This is
support.
truly Fast and Furious, no? Really?
Yeah.
Like Fast and Furious level shit.
So the Grab police don't only arrest, like not arrest, like they give you like it's a 3-strike system. So the first strike is like they will tell you like it's a warning. Second strike, you get your incentive card, and third one, you get banned from
Banned from
delivery.
doing delivery. Yeah.
But then that is why you see people doing it in home clothes and doing it in like just a small bag without the delivery bag, because like they avoided the Grab enforcers. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
these enforcers catches you, like those who don't wear the uniform, those who don't bring the full gear, and like if they are not on the right mode of transport. Yeah, and like
This is some
another
James
reason-
Bond level of shit, I tell you.
Another reason why like some people don't register as scooter and register as bicycle is because like their scooter is non-compliant.
Yeah.
And like the non-compliant one, because like they also don't have money to buy a compliant one. So a lot of them, like when you ask them like why are they on bicycle, they say actually I'm planning to turn to scooter, but then Grab don't let me because I need to be compliant because LTA. So then they say, okay, let's see how we can like earn enough money, buy a new scooter, then register. And you do read on the Telegram chat, there are people who say this is the reason why. That's why I know the reason also. Yeah, and like I understand their situation lah. And some like Grab riders, I will honestly say there are a lot of ex-convict that does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, ex-convicts, a mother who can't do a full-time job like my mom, and like a lot of kind of people, like all walks of life. It's not only people, like a lot of people think like, oh, delivery rider means like they are low ses. There are people who are doing like office job in the evening, they start doing Grab food also. Yeah, so it's all walks of life, and like there's many reasons as to why they do it. Yeah.
Can I just
Yeah.
add in, like, as much as I am for the ban, I feel that some aspects of the ban is a bit ridiculous. So for example, the park connector rule. You might as well just ban e-scooters totally, because the layout of the park connectors, they don't fully connect everywhere. So like I'm saying this.
Yeah, so I can imagine like people like riding on a bike at some point. Oops, I have to carry my bike, and then go to park connector again. Like so, you gotta like stop every few meters and then carry your vehicle. So yeah.
Yeah, so I can
It's a little
understand this
cartoon.
as a cyclist myself. So like, I can see that point as a bit ridiculous. And then to add on to that, it's a fine of a few $1,000s or a few
Jail.
months prison time, which is
Yeah.
pretty intense, to be honest.
Yeah, because they put they did put there a zero tolerance policy after January.
And that's it for episode 19, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did making it. As always, if you like what you've heard and would like to hear more, subscribe to Living It Up in Lion City on your favorite podcast app. I try to put out content at least once a month, time willing of course, but I can assure you that there's a lot more coming. So stay tuned for more. Also, I love feedback, so if you have something you'd like to let me know, send me a message on social media about what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, and what you'd like to see more of. So, until the next time, this is Rindo, and you were listening to Living It Up in Lion City. Ciao!